I looked on Auto Tempest, and there was like the cheapest Porsche 911 happened to be like 15 miles away from me, like in the entire country. And obviously my dad had always wanted one. I have a very special attachment to 911s. Like, they're just awesome. And I was like, well, I have to go see it. Like, it'd be silly of me not to go see it.
So close.
So I went to go check it out, and then I brought Will with me, and then I was like, I think I need to buy it. And I had no money. And so me and Will are on the drive back calling bank after bank, and no one will touch it. First off, like, I don't have bad credit, but no one wants to touch a car that's been in 3 accidents from 1999.
180,000 miles.
Has way too many miles. And then we find one bank that will, and I'm like, we have no income right now.
We were
like, they're willing to give me the money.
Hell yeah.
Let's see what happens.
What bank is this?
Call Mary. Hey, so welcome back to another episode of In the Driver's Seat with ABS. We are on episode number 37. And for 37, we have the Crankshaft Boys with us. I don't know what the relation to that is, but thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course. 37. It's going to be a great episode. Best episode you've had so far.
So we have Jackson and Will, who have come very far from the local state of Massachusetts.
It was a trek.
It was quite the trek.
Can't believe we made it, to be honest.
Already feels like it wasn't worth it, to be honest.
Probably. But, we'd really like to thank you guys for coming out. I know that we've kind of started a little bit of a friendship, a little bit of a relationship. We saw you guys out at Car Week, and then you actually attended our Motor Week that happened this past October. And, is it your phone's going?
I'm going to turn it into Do Not Disturb. I didn't think about that. Amateur hour over here.
It's his birthday, so he's getting mad.
I know.
Happy birthday.
And I did have a birthday present for you, but I'm going to be honest, I forgot it at home.
Was it a 997.2 GT3 RS?
No, it's actually it is a scale model of a white 997.2 GT3 RS with red wheels and red lettering.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So
you were right, actually.
It is what you wanted.
It is a great car. It's what I wanted. I just can't drive it. But hey, that's
that
very
is my favorite
Thank
generation, though, of GT3 RS.
It's the best generation of Porsche.
I think so.
I love that car. And Nick, the owner of ours, he's like, every time he drives it, he's like, can you just make sure that doesn't have an aftermarket exhaust? I'm like, Nick, that is the stock exhaust
system. Yeah,
it just sounds.
I just read a great article in 000 magazine about the 4.0 and how much they did to that car. And Porsche's, it was Andreas Preuninger, and his whole thing was it was so much more fun to make cars back then, and that was 10 years ago. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's
slightly troubling.
Yeah, and like there's just a lot more beam counters and a lot more,
I heard they lost money on those cars. Like
that makes sense.
Car manufacturers were losing money on a lot of cars back then.
Yeah, the 4.0 though, especially.
The LFA,
yeah, that was a huge money loss.
But I love that. That's how you know, like that's clearly a passion project, which is like what it should be.
Have you driven one?
A 997? No, not a GT3. I've driven. Not an RS. I've driven a GT3, but no RS. Yeah, no one's let me behind the wheel, which is fair.
Okay,
we'll have to change that.
That car seriously sounds like it has headers. Like you hit the
really
sport button and the whole thing just.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the best sounding cars we have.
Thank you for having us, by the way.
Yeah, no, of course. No, thanks.
We're very
for
excited
coming.
to be here.
Yeah,
we'll cover your gas money.
Sweet, Food stipends, please.
Yeah, we should have brought the Raptor then.
Listen, what do we look like?
So I found out the other day, first tank I filled up with the new Raptor, $150.
Oh my god!
And it was like it read the range.
Horrible.
What are you driving? How much more gas can you take?
She's getting 87.
I maxed out the pump.
Oh my god! How many gallons is that tank?
It's like 30 something.
Oh. What do you do like MPG wise?
Like 8.
Yeah.
So it's like I filled it up the 30-gallon tank and it was like 290 miles of range, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, I miss the S4 right now.
Oh wow! So to start us off, and for those who don't know, you are YouTubers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But there's, from what we've discovered, there's actually been a pretty long story. So you run the YouTube channel, TikTok, and Instagram account, Captain Crankshaft. Can you tell us a little bit about that name?
Oh, honestly, to be honest, like that name was like me and my roommate.
Because it serves me, who's very immature. My immature brain sees that name and I'm like, oh, this is great.
When I realized it was two people, like I didn't follow you guys until Tony put me on. Then I was like, oh shit, like you guys are good. Like My first thought was, this is Captain and this is Crankshaft.
Yes. That's basically what it is.
Well, all right. Well, that's good.
Do you guys switch roles of Captain and Crankshaft?
Well, we
or?
internally refer to Will as Lieutenant Lugnut. But Captain Crankshaft really, like, I somehow, my, like, brain didn't think about the fact that it was a sexual innuendo, where, like, I was just
Mine
like, the
did.
alliteration is so good, like, people are going to remember that.
No,
and then I
It's a
started to
brilliant
reach
name.
out to brands, and I was like, oh, this doesn't sound so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, Antonio would have come up with the same name, but because it's sexual.
Absolutely. What's kind of like our friend Parker from Vehicle Virgins. I
Yeah.
feel like a name like that, it just sticks because it is kind of inappropriate, but it's also not at the same time. I mean, it's a pretty genius name.
Yeah, you could go
alliteration helps too.
Yeah, it
alliteration
does.
Vehicle
helps. You
Virgins,
could-
Captain Crankshaft.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you could go with a name like your just name, like TJ Hunt, Adam LZ, like they go by their names. But I think it's so much more memorable to go by something else.
Yeah.
Like, you can make it whatever you want, and then every time we've said it to somebody, they've like laughed and been like, "Oh yeah, I won't forget that."
Yeah,
So-
no, it's totally brilliant.
Yeah.
So you've had a couple of YouTube channels, but this YouTube channel has been what, for a year now?
Yes, it's been like a year and a few months, give or take, something like that.
So were you always a car enthusiast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, me and Will have both been car enthusiasts since we were like tiny. Will's first word was car.
Yeah.
Really?
The
Yeah,
first
really.
word.
Which sounds like a lie.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I believe him.
Are you sure it wasn't crankshaft?
Yeah.
Mine was
Big
Bob.
word.
You said Bob?
Yeah.
Did you know Bob?
Nah.
Not even a word.
It's all good. It's all good.
Mine was actually fork, but it came out as fuck.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Mine was car, but it was actually "Ta!" But I would just aggressively point at every car and just yell that.
So
That must have gotten annoying.
yes.
So a little bit about your backstory. Both of your dads were car people, and that's
Yes.
how you got involved.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can't speak for Will exactly because I'm not totally sure. I know your dad likes cars, but I
He's
don't
not
know.
a huge car
Yeah.
like lover. I mean, I feel like I definitely got him back into cars. When I was growing up, like he had some nice stuff laying around, but like just like a random like 6 Series convertible. Like before I was born, he had a bunch of Corvettes. Just like kind of like
Hell yeah,
my
brother.
dad
One
was
of one,
my dad
baby.
grew up
Yeah.
he grew
One
up
of one
not
of
very
one.
wealthy, and then he got into construction. So he just kind of did like the typical like I now have money construction guy. Let me buy a
Corvette.
7 Series and a Corvette. So
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that was
Yeah.
what he did. But he always like appreciated the sound, appreciated a good car. But then after I started to get into cars when I like turned probably like 12, I think it was like I got Need for Speed Rivals.
Nice.
And I
Yeah.
suddenly remembered how much I loved cars. So
Yeah.
I started making him take me to car shows and like got into car photography. And I mean, it just kind of spiraled from there. But I've always loved cars.
Yeah. No,
My dad was oh, sorry.
no, you're good. You're good.
My dad, my grandfather was in the tire business.
Okay.
And then that then generated the fact that my uncle and my dad loved cars because they were around so many
Yeah,
cars all the
yeah.
time. My dad's first car was like an MGB convertible.
Oh, cool.
And they would like go autocrossing and stuff. And then as he got older, he became like very practical, even though he didn't want to be. And he still loved cars, but he wouldn't ever like buy a fun car. He had like 3 Priuses in a row when I was a
hell
kid.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
like
he was
the
like, well,
best
but it's
car
so
ever.
practical. He ran his own business, and I
Yeah.
don't think he wanted his employees to think that like he was taking money that could go to them.
Life
Not
never
that he
got that
was.
bad for me. There's no Priuses
There's
in my
no
house.
free eye. Yeah. Man, he would hit the sport button and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is great." I'm like, that button is just an LED.
He put it in B, bro. Y'all know all the hybrid Toyotas, they just got B on the shifter. No one knows what it does.
Jackson would get dropped off like 2
Automatic.
blocks from school.
He finally like, decided to get rid of the Priuses and actually like get something fun. But he still never bought himself a 911, which is what he actually wanted.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, he
that's-
could have, but he
And
never
that's
did.
kind of like where your story comes in with your 996. But before that, you had an E46 M3 back in the day, right?
Yeah, SMG.
Nice.
Yeah. The best transmission.
Leaking from the headers.
Yeah, leaking from the headers. I did some bad stuff to that car. Yeah, it also had like definitely a cracked subframe, but it still worked. So.
Yeah. So what attracted you to BMW?
It's like affordable, like slightly more affordable Porsche. I feel like it's I think there's a progression from like BMWs to then Porsches, and then maybe for some people Porsche to like Ferrari, and then Ferrari to Bugatti, depending on how crazy you get. I've always been just like whatever gets me to Porsche, and then I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, that's a good
But BMWs felt like they handle well. Like they're still like good weight distribution. They're still sporty and fun. They're not like too crazy like power wise. It's just like a nice balance of things. So at the time the E46 was affordable. I
Yeah.
bought mine for 11,000.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Even SMG, it was a coupe. That car would still be worth like 25 now. I feel like it's crazy how much those have
Maybe
shot
not
up in
that
value.
one.
Maybe not mine. Mine if it worked right.
I know what I have, bro.
It was weirdly fast though.
It was really
it
fast
had
for an
something
E46.
wrong with
Yeah.
it that made it
Some
faster.
sort of chip or something.
Yeah, somebody did the chip tune.
Yeah. Well, Sean's had an M2. I've got a
I also had a
135.
330 Ci.
You did it? Yeah.
That was
big
my
ballin'.
second car.
I regret to remember that sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all in the same boat.
No, we all like he has a Porsche now. I had my second car was an 330 Ci. I had an M2, and then I had a G-body Targa. So it is funny how you do see that more often than not. BMW people going into the Porsche thing. So.
I think it's funny though. Like I've got a friend with an E92 M3, loves it, and he's like, man, I want a 997. I'm like, well, are you buying like a GT3 or a turbo? He's like, no, I can't afford it. It's like, well, then keep the M3. Like they're so fucking good.
That is a
Like,
really good
they're
car.
really solid. Unless you're getting a GT car, BMWs to me are the best.
Yeah, my favorite car I've owned still to this day, I genuinely feel, was my Z3M Coupe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
great car.
That was, I mean, we were talking before about like cars that lost companies money and that were just definitely fun to make. The Z3M Coupe is like the prime example of that. That was the engineers at BMW M were like, we want to make the Z3M because they didn't even have a Z3M at that point.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we'll make an M, but we also want to make a coupe version of it. And the reason why that car is really goofy looking is because it wasn't designed
that the
by
clown
designers.
shoe?
Yeah, the clown shoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't designed by a car designer. It was designed by the engineers at M purely for functionality. So they just made it look like that because that was the most rigid way they could make
it's
that
pretty
chassis
beautiful.
work.
That's
cool. I love that
It's
car.
like
when
a-
it came out though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, it's always
People
takes
hated
time.
it for a long
Yeah.
time, but now, I mean, I got mine back like 3-4 years ago, right at the start of COVID when the market was at its worst, for like 21 grand, and it had like just under 100,000 miles on it. Now that car's probably worth 40 grand.
Did you sell it or you still
So I
have it?
sold it back to the previous owner because my parents hated it. They were like,
Yeah.
it's stupid and old and it's gonna break and you're gonna die in it, because my parents, they like modern
That's how you
cars.
know it's a good car.
Exactly, that's what I said. And when I tell you, that car was like immaculate. It was
Yeah.
literally perfect. I
What
sold it
color
back
was
to
it?
the previous owner who I bought it from. He's a good friend of mine. He has like a 1M. He has an S2000
Yeah.
he's had since new. He's a big car guy. And then his garage got flooded and the car got totaled. And then his
man.
other cars all got messed up. So that car, who knows where it is? But that is like, that's my one car that I wish I never sold.
Isn't that one of your up there cars?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my up there cars. I did a track day up at I think Canaan Motor Club up in New Hampshire, and the guy who invited me has a clown shoe that's pretty well prepped, and there's just like no body roll.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
best car.
it's like holy shit, like this is truly an engineering masterpiece. And then you get out and look at it, and you hear like a wah. it's goofy, but you love how it looks.
I think it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love driving a
love
car,
it.
seriously.
Especially with cars like the Ferrari FF and like GTC Ford
Yeah.
Lusso, who have like a
People
similar
love
look
shooting
now,
rigs.
and you have
Yeah.
it from like such a prestigious brand like Ferrari. You look at something like a clown shoe and be like, yeah, like that's really cool, and they did it. They were ahead of the time. You know what I mean? Which is awesome.
Yep.
How did your car passion develop into this massive social media presence?
For me, it was like I've always obviously loved cars, and then I've always been a person who's had ADHD, I swear, but I've always had like weird hobbies, just like getting into something and then like getting obsessed with something else. But
Yeah.
something that's always been another obsession was like making videos. And it's always sort of stayed true. It's like the two things that have always been constant is I like making videos and I like cars. The other hobbies always come and go. But I at one point thought I would go to film school. Weirdly
Because
never
you
did.
used to shoot on film as well.
Yeah,
Like-
in high school, I went to a weird like art school, and I used to do like film photography because my dad did photography, so I've always liked photography too. Will's big into photography, but yeah, the video stuff was always honestly more fun than the photos because you could just do so much more. You could like at the time I didn't know it was like really storytelling, but you can like really tell stories through video, which is really fun to do, and just like making little projects here and there. So I started a lot of YouTube channels. I had like a YouTube channel where I made Forza videos when I was like 12. No one even saw those videos. I don't think they're even, I can't find them anymore online.
I think we found that one with the TT when we made that video.
Yeah, that was on a hard drive, but
Oh,
they're
yeah.
posted somewhere. I just don't know where. I don't even know what the account was called.
Are you even a car guy if you didn't post Forza videos?
I know, yeah. And the music was way too loud. You couldn't hear me talking. It's crazy.
Mine were Midnight Club videos, but anyways.
That's fair.
Oh, fair enough.
That was a great game.
And then then it went into like I want to make videos with cars, and I started to make like some weird like montage videos, and I thought I was really good. Like I was like, oh, these videos are so great. Like I'm such a cinematographer. And they were so shaky and terrible and horrible, but like that's how you learn. And now I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not confident in the way that I'm doing things, but like I'm just learning as I go.
I mean, it's clearly working for you. And you
Somehow.
know, no, you need to give yourself more credit than that.
Well, you mentioned all your hobbies, and we were talking before about the ding before all your videos, which does work. And it's funny, you remind me of my friend Steve, who has all these hobbies. He makes like fishing videos, and he took a Call of Duty YouTube and made it big, and sold that for a good amount of money. But I guess my question for both of you guys is like, how much do outside influences, like outside of the car world, how much of those contributed to your success with this YouTube?
For me, a lot. I listen, like, so I hated school.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I was, I guess, in school, in this, like the school system, I was a bad learner. I don't believe that's like a real thing.
Right.
But I like got bad grades.
I think I'm dyslexic, and I know Sean's dyslexic.
I just dropped out of college, though.
There you go.
But it's like at school, I didn't fit into whatever box that was. So I got bad grades. Like a lot of teachers kind of discounted me, I feel like, and were like, oh, like I was just an annoying kid, I feel like, because I put up a fight to like whatever we were doing.
Right.
And now I love learning. Like so many outside influences, because like I just love to listen to things and like learn new things. Like I watch the stuff I watch on YouTube. I literally can attest. I consume every type of content. It's weird. Like I grew up watching YouTube. I don't really watch TV, and I watch like all these explainer videos, and like I'll watch a video about a bridge like being built for some reason, and then I'll watch like terrarium videos and everything. I learn something from everything. And I'll listen to a ton of podcasts about YouTube and outside of YouTube, and like that's how I came up with the ding thing, was listening to a podcast about sound.
Well, I think what's crazy, like I'm the same way. Like I went to a good public school where I was in probably like the 50th percentile, because the smartest kids are going to Harvard and Oxford and all these fucking crazy schools. Cars to me taught me how to learn. And like how to compound information. I think like people take that for granted a lot.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's a common thread. Like for me, like you were saying, I think very similar situation. School for me, they focused so much on what I was bad at. And as opposed to what I was, because I was like, you know, I loved history, I loved things, but like I was constantly told I was dumb or whatever. So I just kind of did my own thing like you, and I found my medium with cars, learning about cars, learning about, you know, anything through YouTube. And no, it's interesting to see that we all have that similar
I mean, it's
commonality.
Same story as Sean. I mean, I had a really hard time reading with being dyslexic, and I had this really good, because I was behind the curve, and in the 6th and 7th grade I had this really good English teacher who totally recognized that I was obsessed with cars and motorcycles, and instead of doing the traditional book reports and stuff like that, she encouraged me to read car magazines and books on cars, and like The Art of Racing in the Rain and stuff like that, and MotoGP Technology, which was this like massive book of explaining the entire history of MotoGP racing, which I am still obsessed with today. And that helped me overcome, not totally, but helped me get better with reading and understand how to read better. And that was, you know, changed my life, really.
It's one of those things where it's like, I definitely had this experience in school. It was like, I hated like writing a paper. I hated doing my homework. But if it was like one of those projects where you could choose anything, I'd like write about how the Lamborghini Miura, I remember this vividly. I wrote a paper about how the Lamborghini Miura was like the first supercar, and I did so much research on it because I actually cared about it.
Or was it the 300 SL Gullwing?
Nah, it was the Miura. It was first mid-engine road car. Come on. But besides from that, it's just like, I always had people in school tell me, oh, if you worked hard, you'd be good at it. You don't do this, you don't do that. But it's just, for some people, and I mean, I think all people really, but some people just care about school, but it's hard to try super hard in something that you don't care about. So I think like the reason why I just dropped out of school is because like my whole life, my parents, like I'd always found cars, but even still, like for a lot of people, it's hard to understand that there's a future in something like this. And I always saw it, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I mean, look where we all are here. But I always saw that there was a future for me in the world of cars. I just didn't know what it was yet. So I still went to college. I still was going to school, taking business classes, but I hated it. I really did. And then this started working out for us. And then it was like everybody in my life that had always told me, oh, I need to do better, I need to try harder, suddenly saw that I was working 70 hours a week, staying up until midnight, editing videos, working on social media stuff. And they're like, oh, well, he is a hard worker. He just didn't care about doing like stats class,
which is
which is fair because it sucks.
And that's really good points. And a lot of what we do, the three of us, especially here at the Audrain, is we want to be able to show that there is an ability to have a career with cars. You know, that they're not just restoring cars from the mechanical side, but there are things that you can do. And going back to what we were talking about, my dad would always tell me, I got terrible grades in high school especially, but he was never worried about me. He never gave me a hard time. Never. He was like, I know you're going to do well.
I'm worried about you.
Huh? Yeah, well, in other ways, but they were never like, you're not going to succeed because you're not getting good grades. We know what you're driven in. I would, I was one of those kids who would sit, like, it seems like we're all that, but I would sit downstairs in my basement, play Halo 2 for 14 hours, like I said, we grew up in a kind of like a transition time when, I graduated high school in 2008, so that was when YouTube was like really at its infancy, and we were really starting to see a transition of I don't want to say traditional schooling, but we're all here now because we didn't necessarily go the traditional route, and I think that's really important for people to realize. I didn't realize it until, like, I grew up in my town was very
Morristown.
No, we'll chat.
Sean's from Morristown.
I'm from New Jersey.
What a dump.
I'm from Morristown.
Absolute dump.
Like, you have to go to college. You have to go to a great school. You have to do this.
This is how you succeed in life.
If you don't, you have to go. My growing up was like, because all I saw growing up was dads going on the train to New York City every single day, hating their life, commuting to New York at 7 in the morning. Like, that's literally what I thought work was. So that's like, I didn't realize that I could, come here and talk with these two morons about cars all day.
Crankshaft.
I really,
and by morons I mean you and him.
no, we are on students. Don't worry.
Listen, don't exclude my friends.
Our thing is being morons.
Yeah.
That's our shtick.
It's really important to, like, obviously having the support and having people around you, but you have to, like, and I say this to everyone, like, you have to really just throw yourself into what you love, and if you do that and you really,
you only get one chance.
Yeah,
you might as well do what you want to do.
And that's I was kind of when I graduated college, I moved to New York, and I kind of did bullshit around for a few years until this was 2013 when I joined Tesla for, like, I was essentially as low on the totem pole as you could at Tesla because I wanted to do something with cars. I didn't know what it was, and there was this newish company, and I worked there for 7 years, and that's kind of how I did it. And you just gotta really, like you said, hyper focus on what you like, and things will happen.
Well, I think what's interesting is you mentioned, like, I get into Tesla, but I wanted to be into cars. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But one thing you guys mentioned that is not the first time I've heard it is Antonio asked you, how'd you guys meet? And he's like, well, we went to a car show. And, like, the amount of stories I hear from going to a car show and either taking pictures and sending it to someone, and they say, I like your pictures, can you shoot for me? And it just starts this slippery slope of, like, how important is just going to car shows for you guys and just getting out and doing random things and networking and doing that type of stuff.
It's led to a lot.
Yeah, I think going to car shows too is such a strange networking thing because you have to think, like, this is something me and Jackson have realized, and there's a lot of money in the car world, and it's almost an obvious thing, but something that gets overlooked. Like, we were at SEMA, and there's like 40,000 businesses there. And we're like, all these businesses could give us money to make videos. Aside from that, like, you go to a car show, you have to realize, like, all the people there are people that have succeeded somewhat in life. They're driving brand new Lamborghinis, Porsches, Ferraris. So you can go there and just on this common interest in cars, immediately break that ice
mold.
that, like,
gives a free entry into conversation.
Yeah, and then you start talking to them, and then they, and like, I've had it before where, like, I met someone at a car show and I ended up working for them for like 5 years doing their social media, helping them grow their business, and like same thing, other places, shooting for people, getting to go places with people, just as a photographer before the YouTube channel, as someone that was pretty small, like, not well known, but like, there's so many people in the car world that like just want to share what they're doing with people that have a passion. So even if there might be a better photographer, a better YouTuber, whatever it may be, if you really are a car enthusiast, like people just want to talk to you and help you.
Yeah.
Which is why going to car shows is huge, I think, for people that are young in the car world.
Yeah. I was always going to circle back to what you're saying, like especially in the car world these days, with the way the technology is advanced, like I just feel like a lot of people see what you were seeing as a kid, like the way that work goes. Like I was lucky enough to have like two parents who were pretty entrepreneurial, who encouraged me, that were like, all parents are like, well, a lot of parents are like, you can do whatever you want. But like, I think it's genuinely true. Yeah. Like there is definitely luck involved with like the situation that you've been like raised in. Like I was lucky enough to be able to take risk without like a lot of, you know, some kind of
backstop
help from my parents if it went sideways. But like, I think what I've learned is like in school, I was told I was a bad learner in the same way. And I've only recently learned that I am a hard worker. And like, you can really, like with enough hard work, you can do anything. And in the car world, like going out and just going to these events has like netted so many connections and just trying things like
and I kind of use that as a, like, I you know, when I worked early at Tesla, we still do it. We work long hours. We're like, you know, 6-7 days a week. But I kind of use that as kind of like, you know, I work so hard because I was always told I was not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of my motivation to be like, you know, this is how. And luckily enough, I was able to do things because I was in at Tesla early, and you know, so like you said, you kind of use it to your advantage a little bit. And as we get older, you kind of realize like, wow, I guess, you know, I am a good learner, but I just do it in my way.
I heard a really good quote the other day. And it was like, people always say, if you find something you love, if you do something you love for work, you never work a day in your life. Yeah. And I heard someone say, like, that's not really the truth. It's if you do something that you love for work, you work harder than everyone else. Right. And that's the real truth. It's like, because I still think we work super hard. I wouldn't say that like our job is easy. I would say we're super fortunate to be in the situation we're in, and I love it, but we still work really, really hard. But it doesn't bother me. It's like it would have bothered me to sit down and write an essay at school for 10 hours, or I could never go sit in an office and fuck around with spreadsheets all day. Pardon my language, but like I just couldn't do that. But I love what I do. I love editing videos. I love thinking about what we're going to do next, organizing projects, whatever it may be. So it doesn't bother me to work.
Well, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, a lot of people see a channel like you guys who have a load of followers, and they don't realize how much work goes into it, right? They see like
they think
you're having
like
fun behind screen, but
I definitely didn't think it would take as much work.
Poor Sam, who edits our podcast, it takes, you know, hours and hours to do a proper edit, and you guys, you know, obviously have a way that you every
stop slouching, all right?
I'm working hard here.
He doesn't even have a mic. Give him a break.
It's like I'm just here. But I gotta go edit after this.
Same.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize is to put, you know, a lot of people have a podcast now. A lot of people were putting up YouTube channels, which is great. There should be. But the amount of work that goes into producing quality content, I think that's the kind of what people aren't, you know, every time I talk to you guys, I'm editing.
All day, every day.
Well, it's like there's like, you ask kids nowadays what they want to be, right? And it's almost always YouTuber. I want to do YouTuber, like I want to be like influencer. And I think it's because you see all these people and they're clearly making money, they have a lot of like followers, and they're famous somewhat, and they're living this particular lifestyle, and that's very appealing. That has never been the draw for either me or Will. Like, it's always been, I like making videos and I like cars. I'm going to make videos about cars, because at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people starting YouTube channels for the wrong reasons, and then you realize how much work it is. The thing is, I used to try to start all these businesses. I used to like try drop shipping to try to make money. I wanted to make easy money. There's no such thing as easy money. That's what I've learned, is like, you can do drop shipping and they make it seem easy, but it's actually, if you want to do it well, it takes a ton of work and understanding, and like everything is hard work. But so you better love it, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you're going to fail.
Yeah. One of our partners has a great quote. He goes, you know, you're going to work really hard at something for 3, 4, 5 years. And then all of a sudden you're an overnight success. That's one of his.
We worked for free for almost a year. We didn't make a single dollar off of our YouTube channel.
He was scary. I was hemorrhaging money.
He was living off of the money he was making, still like working for our future for Morning Brew. I was still working at the detail shop I was at. I was still in school, and like I would edit in every free second I had, and that was when we were still only doing shorts. Kind of, I mean, something that's different about our channel is we're one of the first. We call ourselves a hybrid creator. because we do short form, and we started with short form. We built a huge following with short form, so only like YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels, but now we make long form videos, which is way harder.
Yeah.
And it's way harder to build a following for that. But now we're seeing some success in that. Like we're getting minimum 50 to 100,000 views on a long form video, which before when we started doing it, we didn't really understand how it worked. We would literally get like 1,000 views, and we had 400,000 subscribers. You look at people, there's like this guy on YouTube, and I'll just say it, his name's Cam Casey. He makes really great short form content, and he has like 8 million YouTube subscribers. He'll post a long form video and he'll literally do 1,000 views.
That's crazy. They're different followers. And the problem is people would see we had like 300, 400,000 subscribers and we were doing no views on long form. Or they'll see the 300, 400,000 subscribers and they'll be like, man, they must be doing well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm stressing because I like can't afford any food.
Literally.
Like we were like, I was losing money and I was starting to be like, man, my thought has always been, I'm going to do this until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to see where it goes. Cause like, luckily I have, some kind of fallback. Like I have a real estate license and I was doing that for a while, but it was definitely scary. And like, now I still have the same mindset. Like I'm going to do it till I can't do it anymore, but now we're making money. So it's
what was that point that changed that? Was there a video? Was there
no particular video?
I would say it was the 9/11 though.
Definitely the 9/11 made a huge difference because we took I mean, I was looking we were making shorts. We had made some long form videos. They were all over the place. Like one is we raced across New York City with like a bike, the subway and a car. There was another video where we were like, we were trying to do all this stuff. Awesome. We had no direction.
And no one watched those videos. They weren't very good.
They had like 5,000 views tops maybe.
Yeah.
And our shorts were still doing views. We were doing like 50 million views a month on shorts, just doing car news. And then I looked on Auto Tempest and there was like the cheapest Porsche 911 happened to be like 15 miles away from me, like in the entire country. And obviously my dad had always wanted one. I have a very special attachment to 911s. Like they're just awesome. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I have to go see it. Like it'd be silly of me not to go see it.
So close.
So I went to go check it out and then I brought Will with me and then I was like, I think I need to buy it. And I had no money. And so me and Will are on the drive back calling bank after bank and no one will touch it. First off, like I don't have bad credit, but no one wants to touch a car that's been in 3 accidents from 1999.
180,000 miles.
Has way too many miles. And then we find one bank that will, and I'm like, we have no income right now. We were like, they're willing to give me the money.
Hell yeah!
Let's see what happens.
What bank is this?
Cut that part out.
But they like really, it was actually a terrible. Like if on paper, it's a horrible decision. But I think that's how a lot of things start. You have to take risk in life. Calculated risk for sure. Right. I was like, worst case scenario, I sell the car, right? Like, and I might lose some money if let's say the engine blows up. I can still sell the car for like not $0.
Yeah,
so like
part
it out.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a calculated risk. It's still on paper a really stupid decision, but definitely shifted because we were like, okay, well now we have this car. Like this is what we really want to be doing. We really want to be making stories with cars and building them and turning them into something like having fun.
Because that had always been our real dream. We like as much as we loved making the news videos and stuff, that was never our goal. It was really that he had success doing the business news stuff, so we knew it would work.
Yeah,
and it was working. And we were like, the whole time we were doing that, we were like, listen, this isn't the end goal. The end goal is to have our own cars, make our own project cars. But from our kind of failure at long form, it didn't seem like that was possible. Because the biggest thing with the news stuff is anyone can be the presenter. So we couldn't tell if people cared about Jackson. At that point, people probably really didn't.
I care about you.
No. I mean, you know what I mean. The audience wasn't attached to Jackson. They were attached to our content that we were making.
Because, like I said, anyone can deliver news.
Yeah.
So where's the moat? Like, how do you create a moat around that? Like, anyone can come deliver the same thing once they understand how to make short form. Maybe that takes a little bit to understand like structure, but anyone can do it.
If you're good at copying people too, like. We had people immediately copycat us and do the
really
exact same style of video and do views like right off the bat.
They really understood if you watch it, like how do we structure the scripts? Yep. It's all there. You just have to be good at like practicing and trying.
Determining.
So like people got good at it and they were copying us and getting views. And I'm like, the whole time I was thinking like we need something that is untouchable, like some kind of moat. And the moat is our personality. Like I said, like anyone can build a car, but no one can build a car in the exact same way that we do it, like in our voices. And
no one will be as dumb as us building a car.
Well, what I really enjoy about it is, obviously, you're very knowledgeable about cars, and
thank you. I try, maybe.
Yeah, no, you are. But the car world is so big. Like we were saying earlier, you could be in car sales, you could be doing car videos like us, you could be a mechanic. working for
You could
Tesla.
be stealing catalytic converters.
Yeah,
That's how we got into it.
Hell yeah.
That's how we flipped the channel.
We bought the 996.
Yeah.
All cats.
gotta have base
I
layer.
showed up to the dealership with like 30 catalytic converters.
we went to was like, what's your down payment? We just like sent him a box full of cats. They're like, oh, this is good. We'll harvest the platinum in here.
Your dad did have 3 Priuses. Those
That's true. Where do you think he started?
People are like parting those out now too.
They always know when he gets to work.
But what I like about watching your builds is, you know, more recently you partnered with eBay and you spruced up the interior of your 996, and you're like, I don't know how to put the seat in, but we're going to take this angle grinder out and we're just going to figure it out. And I feel like a lot of people would watch that and be like, oh, this kid doesn't know anything about mechanical work. But it's like, in order to get good at being a mechanic, you have to practice and you have to learn how to do things.
Trial and error, baby.
And I like that you take the viewer along with you and like they practice with you. And sometimes you get to the result and sometimes you don't, but that's okay because you're still learning and you're still getting content out of it.
And the biggest thing with that too is there are the people that are going to tell us we're stupid. And we don't know what we're doing.
Said I was stupid.
99% of the people watching also don't know how to do it and would love to do it. Because you think about it, especially as a younger person into cars, no idea how to do anything.
No.
So we might not be appealing to those mechanics that are really good at working on cars and are super perfectionists, but not only are they the minority, but they also have all been there.
Yeah.
So like,
of course.
Yeah.
I think the relatability that we provide as
totally
going into it
authentic.
without the knowledge, it's like, it's more appealing to watch than someone that just goes in and knows what they're doing and does it perfectly and then just finishes.
But also that mechanic's going to come back to see how you did it on the next video. So that's also good.
This is also definitely like, in my opinion, a downfall of social media. Like, and I
Everything is
definitely
just perfect
fell a
all the
trap
time.
into this.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
everybody's on their Instagram, they're posting photos of like, look at me, I'm in Bali and I'm like beautiful and I'm doing cool, beautiful person stuff. And it's like, great, that's cool. But like no one is willing, or very few people are willing to show them failing at something or show them like they're not real life. And I used to only post like highlight reels to my personal Instagram, like stuff that made me look good, because like you don't want anyone to think that you're like, you know, doing
Not
poorly.
doing well, yeah.
But I've so like it's so freeing, honestly, and like I don't care at all now. Like I will I have like zero ego in this. Like it's just, I don't care if people think I'm stupid, because I kind of am. Like I have no idea how to do anything. But like, why? If I go and I'm like, oh, I know exactly how to do this, and then I do it wrong, I'm just gonna get crucified.
Yeah.
And it's also like, what's the point of that? Like, I'd rather just like have an audience that's supportive and we all sort of learn together. Because the truth of the matter is, like, I don't really know how to do anything, and like I've learned how to do everything in my life just by failing, because I wasn't good at school. So like I would just try stuff and usually fail, and like I'm totally fine to admit that. Like if
best way to do it.
I can barely spell words sometimes because I'm probably
literally
Antonio can't spell words ever.
and I'll just write it. I don't care. Like, what are you
he
gonna
calls
tell me?
me
You
out
can't
all
spell
the
the
time.
word? Yeah, I can't. Like, I
I'll
don't care.
post a reel on the ABS and he'll be like, look at the spelling of this word. I'm like,
what's
crap.
great,
And
though?
then I just delete it.
Nah, don't delete it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you know why? Someone's gonna comment about it,
That
and
is
then
true.
it'll get more views.
Yeah.
That is very true. It
We will
feeds in
leave.
the algorithm.
We will sometimes on shorts, especially, leave mistakes in. Like I'll notice that I did something wrong with it, whatever,
Conversation.
because someone's gonna comment about it and
Yeah.
it'll get more views. The more comments
Also
you
the
get,
truth,
the
like-
algorithm, it's not at the point yet where it can tell what someone's commenting about really. So as long as someone's commenting, you're getting
that's very,
engagement.
very
It doesn't
you'll
know if it's
get more-
positive or negative.
Yeah, you'll get more views. So
That's why we run 12
yeah.
bot accounts.
Just hating on yourself, like, oh, that guy looks stupid.
But
That mustache makes him look real creepy.
this is
Hey, so that's a good segue, and you guys are
we're
helping us
stashed
with.
up.
Yeah, we're stashed up.
Not
Yeah, we got
looking
the
good.
stash.
You're
You're
helping
stashed
us
up.
for
we're good.
November, which has been super cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we've raised our goal is $10,000. We've raised about $3,500 for November.
Getting
and
there.
yeah, we're getting there. So
Actually, I was just
Halfway through.
recording.
We're halfway
for our
through.
video that's coming out. I was just recording something talking about it.
oh hell yeah!
So,
No,
sweet.
well, we appreciate you guys helping us with that. But to backtrack a little bit, you've had multiple YouTube channels, and we were talking about overnight success before. What was the step? What was the process to get from failed YouTube channel, kind of something that worked, selling something, and then creating Captain Crankshaft? What was the process of
You want
that?
to know the full story?
That's fine.
Okay.
Whatever. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, first couple channels, obviously no one saw the videos. They weren't very good. But like every time you do something, again, like even if you do it poorly, you learn something from that. So like each time I was getting better and better at some part of the process. And then I started to do, like, as I got older, I started to kind of, I guess, take it more seriously whenever I would start a new channel, because I'd be like a bit more mature and I would actually like take the time to try. So I was learning all these things. The compound knowledge was starting to take effect. And then in college, I started getting my real estate license, and I was trying to like sell, like rent apartments. And I'd watch like $1 Million Listing New York with all these guys who are like selling in New York. And I was like, oh, video is a great way to sell. And I like making videos.
What? $87 million gets you in Manhattan.
What does $850 get you in?
Those
the worst part of Boston.
Shot.
I'm on the 196th floor in this penthouse apartment in New York City, looking at all these people below me.
Look at all these peasants below me.
I'm
My
like
50th floor Zen garden.
it's like, what?
And no one lives here for all 12 months of the year.
It's so insane. Sorry.
No, it's all good. But yes, I was making not exactly that kind, I wish.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to make. But I was making these videos, and they started to do kind of well on like TikTok, because this is like right when TikTok was starting.
Yeah.
And short form is much
were you
easier
doing
to
the
get
dances
into.
at the beginning, like dun, dun, dun.
I should have. Maybe that
Yeah.
would have helped.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have helped. Sadly not. But I was trying to sell these apartments or rent these apartments, because no one would give me anything to sell. And I started to make videos, and they started to do decently well. So I started to understand, like, okay, I know how to edit a decent video from all this past time making YouTube channels. Now there's this whole short form thing. It's much easier to get recognized on short form because of how the algorithms work. You don't actually have to click a video. It just gets fed to you. And then the real estate stuff kind of started doing well. And I was like, I should do this for business and finance, because this is when I was getting into like social media for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I like business and finance stuff, but truly I know nothing, and I was pretending like I did know something, which do not take financial advice from me. That is the last thing you should do.
invest in FTX, bro.
buy messed up 996s.
Yeah, great idea.
Change your life.
So I was making these finance videos because business and finance has the highest ad dollar
That's true.
given to you. You can make a ton of money doing it. But I didn't really know anything, and I was again pretending like I did know something. And the videos were actually like doing okay, but then I started to focus on just interesting business stories, like, oh, how did this guy start a business? Like, how did he start his company? Like, how did Google get started? And I would make these TikToks explaining that, and they started to do really pretty well. Like, there was one that I made that did like
breaking things.
I just made one how Gucci is like scamming people, like into like buying luxury designer products. Not actually, it was just well worded, and that did like 1.9 million views.
Wow!
And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. I'm gonna do more of this. So I started doing that, and then there was this other account that was also making business finance content. We decided to collaborate together and start a business finance news network. And that was great, actually. We ended up selling it, but the ability to we had to make 2 videos a day. That's what we did at the start. So we were making 2 short form videos every single day. I was like literally never leaving my room.
Yeah.
And
Saturday, Sunday too.
The compounding knowledge really started to kick in there, because going from making like, I have a YouTube channel over the summer while I'm out of school, to now going into, I'm making 2 videos a day for a year. Yeah. It's like I'm learning something new every time. Like, you can see the slight adjustments in the videos over time. And I would intentionally, there was this, like Tuvalu, the country of Tuvalu. This is really random.
No.
So it's a tiny island nation. Great vacation spot.
Did you do Barry's transport there?
Beach
I was
down.
just there.
Barry drove a ship to deliver a GT3 down there.
In Tuvalu, great spot. Good food down there. But they are this like tiny island nation. Their only real like core business is fishing. Like, that's their biggest export, because there's not a lot of people that live there, quite small. But they found this amazing export, which is the domain ending .tv, which is what like Twitch uses.
Yeah.
So like every country got not random, but they got a domain ending, and now people are willing to like rent out these domain endings. And since Tuvalu is rather small, the money that comes in from those .tv endings makes up for like a pretty large chunk of income.
That's cool.
So I made a video about that early on, and then every couple months I would make the same video again to see if I could get more views, like with everything that I've learned. So there's like 6 Tuvalu videos out there on some channel somewhere.
And the Tuvalu government
baby.
pulled up to his house and
Yeah.
made him delete them all.
Did they actually?
No. I mean, but
We love you,
It was
Tuvalu.
interesting. Like, first one, 10,000 views, and then a couple months later, next one, 60,000 views. Next one, like 400,000 views. So I was like starting to understand, like, it's not really like, social media is not luck, and I think a lot of people think that there's some luck involved if you hit once, but to hit consistently, it's all skill. Like, once you understand how to structure a video, you understand like the right words to say and the right
We just have Sam make Skoda videos for us on
Over
our
and over
podcast
again.
page. They just all blow up.
It's funny though because we were actually talking about this on our way down here.
Sam
It's
Skoda?
like-
Yeah.
Sam
It was
Skoda.
crazy.
Yeah.
For the
Love
whole
a
hour and a
Skoda.
half, it was just about your Skoda.
Skoda Yeti, favorite one. No, we were talking about how like now we watch these YouTubers as YouTubers. Whereas before, I mean, I always loved YouTube, same as Jackson. I didn't really watch much TV. For me, it was like, obviously always watched car videos, but like anything from like watching like Minecraft YouTubers to parkour people, like I just watched everything on YouTube, didn't watch anything else. And like now I go back and watch the videos because before, like, as a kid watching YouTube, you just think, oh, this is cool. This guy's doing something cool. That's it. But then you go back and you watch and you realize like how much goes into every single video and how impressive it is that there are these YouTubers like Shmee. Honestly, what he
Every
does
day.
is mind blowing.
he posts
And
a video every
14
day.
years every
Shmee's
single
nuts.
day.
And Shmee's nuts.
You're friends with him.
Yeah,
How did you become friends with Shmee?
Just through photography. So I knew him before actually like literally like, I don't know if you'll like me saying this, but literally like right before we started the channel, he was in here in Boston and I went to meet him for dinner because I'd met him down in Miami. One of my friends owns Detail Boutique, which is part of Wheels Boutique. He was down there visiting in Miami. We had some cool cars there with Savage Garage guys. It's a whole crazy different story. But we met them. I met Shmee then. Really, really nice guy. Honestly, one of the
he's great.
coolest people
Very
I've ever
nice.
met. He's helped our channel so much with random stuff. But then he was in Boston, and I was like, hey. He was like, oh, I gotta get a hotel tonight. I was like, you can stay at my house.
Cool.
And so he was like, okay. So ever since then, we've been pretty good friends. Like I said, he's helped us with YouTube. But like back to what he does is like literally
He's a
14
machine.
years
He
of a
is
video
such a machine.
every
It's
day.
crazy.
Oh,
We've seen
Savage.
him. Yeah.
When we went to Virginia with him, and he was like,
That was
editing
the day
car.
before he stayed at my house.
Oh yeah,
It was the same trip.
yeah. So he was, it's like
It's crazy to watch.
And it just
And
let
it's
him do
also
his
like-
thing, so he doesn't have to edit.
Yeah.
Just one take.
He does
wonder.
everything one take.
I know,
his
that's
mind-
the most impressive thing. I
Watching
don't
him
understand.
film is like, it's like mind blowing.
Oh,
What
yeah.
I was going for there with my
No,
hands.
nice.
But, really added to it. But no, it's crazy. He just knows what he's gonna do. Because for us, we put out one long form video a week, and that's challenging.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because we're working on the cars, waiting for parts. Like, because usually we don't even have the stuff to film. We're trying to get ahead right now where we can film 2-3 videos a week. So like, thankfully we're starting to. But for the Porsche series and for the Aston series, it's literally been like finish filming the video on like Thursday or Friday, and then I spend the entire day, all 10 hours of Saturday, like editing it, going back and forth with Jackson on voiceovers. Like,
There's so
and
much that goes into it.
It was stressful.
yeah.
Like we were down in Nashville with Red Bull, like interviewing Daniel Ricciardo, which is a crazy thing.
He's
that
a
we've
very
done.
nice guy.
Really nice guy.
Yeah.
And like stuff that doesn't even sound like something we would have done. But like we were supposed to go to dinner with all of them at Red Bull, but we were just like, nah, sorry. So we just like stayed holed up in our hotel room the entire day, editing the video that was supposed to go out the next day. Then we went out to like a party with them. Then we filmed with Daniel Ricciardo, and it's like, I don't know. It's really, it's like so impressive that like,
I don't know
back
how
to
people
Shmee.
do it,
I don't know how he
yeah.
does a video a day. I mean, definitely like, not to say his videos are lower production value, but he's like been able to make his personality and his story so interesting that he can make a video on any car and anything.
Yeah.
And people will just watch it. Like he's almost more like news, but also can make videos on his
Yeah.
own cars.
Yeah,
where
talking-
he has like his breadth of content is amazing.
Yeah.
But like I could never do that.
Compounding knowledge too. Like
Yeah.
back to the compounding knowledge. Like I mean, he makes a video every day. He's been doing it for like 14 years. So like he just turns a
He's the
switch.
king.
Yeah.
His workflow too,
Yeah.
like watching him edit's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He just like
Yeah.
he
We
throws
watched
little
him.
clips on there and it's just like and I'm like, what the? How did you just finish an entire video?
Yeah, we're us early on. Like the Porsche, it's like not only did we not get the parts, but like I said, we took a risk. We didn't have the money for the Porsche. So then trying to figure out how to put parts on the Porsche, I'm like
Right.
emailing companies while Will's editing, being like, we need a video next week. Who wants to give me free exhaust because
Yeah.
I can't afford an exhaust?
Yeah.
And then
And
every
they were
company's
like,
like, you
no.
don't get any views. Like, what would be the
Yeah.
point? And I'm like, oh, we're gonna get views at one point.
Wow.
We're really cool guys.
Which I did not really believe. I was just like, oh, but it's gonna be, the video's gonna live there forever. When we have 10 million subscribers, it's gonna keep getting
getting
views.
monetary sponsors too. So
I was just, like, begging out
this
there.
This is a great thing. So we went down to the Amelia Concours. On
Was
a
this year?
whim.
In 23
Yeah,
or-
last year.
We had no
there was
money.
This year. That was this year, right?
23.
That was
That's crazy.
2020.
That was 23.
That was this year.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. So we went there this year.
We had just bought the Porsche.
No money. We hadn't even bought the Porsche yet. I don't
Oh,
think.
maybe it was before
So
that, yeah.
We
Right,
had
the month
we
before.
had-
Figure the story out.
Yeah, so we hadn't bought the Porsche yet. And we went down there on such a whim. I emailed someone and got us press passes.
Yeah, we were staying at like the whatever the hotel was, the
like
crappiest
an hour
hotel.
away, hotel by the airport. Rented like the cheapest thing on Turo, which ended up being like an automatic Miata.
$25 Miata, yeah, like a day.
So we were just like, all right, whatever. So we drove in. We're filming shorts. We had a few shorts do well already the first day there, but like nothing crazy. And then
also our content strategy, by the way, was like, if this makes business sense, like the only way this is going to work is if we make like 100 shorts while we're here.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of money in shorts. Like when we were doing 70 million views a month on shorts, we were maybe making $3,000 off ad revenue.
And that's
wow.
what we were like, we gotta make
Yeah.
as many shorts as possible. We thought that was actually manageable too, but
yeah. So we're down there, and then we're in the media room. And I just go up to some random guy. I'm like, hey, you guys doing anything for influencers? And then he looked at me and he like thought about it for a sec. He's like, oh, we have this like dinner tonight with a few of the media people here. You can come to it. So we get there, right? And I mean, I feel weird name dropping YouTubers, but it was literally us, one of the guys from Haggerty, and then Ed Bullion from VinWiki, Tavarish, and Hoovie's Garage. And it was just that. So we just sort of sit down and like
me and we're looking at each other and we're like trying to pretend like we belong.
Right, we just gotta be here. So we start talking to Freddie and Ed. We didn't really talk to Tyler too much. There's two tables, but Freddie and Ed, literally, first off, two of the nicest people in the world.
They are the best people.
Butt implants?
Literally, like the two of the coolest people ever. So we start talking to them, kind of telling them our story. They don't understand short form, which we did. So we sort of have this, like, we're going back and forth. They're telling us about their long form because we're trying. Cool. We're giving them short form advice. We work with Freddie. We sometimes like help him make his videos into shorts. We help Ed with short form stuff. But at that point, we had no idea to do the long form. So we started talking to Freddie about it.
Also, they have helped us far more than we have.
Yeah, definitely. So we started talking to Freddie about it. We're like, this, that. So then he was like, do it. So that was one of the reasons we bought that 911 is because like he was like, no, you guys can do it.
Oh yeah.
So we did it.
Took the risk. Yeah.
And he was one of the reasons we took the risk. But then we started doing it. We realized we had no money. We were like, who do you think would sponsor us? Because we were talking to Freddie, and he was like, we already reached out to Auto Tempest because Auto Tempest, as you guys probably know, is like one of their main sponsors for Car Trek for their channels. And Freddie was like, he's like, I'll reach out to, I'll have him help you sponsor you. And when I tell you that money is what made us able to do what we've done since then.
Big shout out to Auto Tempest for like taking that risk on us because like without that,
that's totally awesome.
Oh no, we can say it now. We would have failed without Freddie telling the guys at Auto Tempest and the guys at Auto Tempest agreeing to give us what now to us seems like a small amount of money, but back then it was huge because we were so unproven.
Yeah. Wow.
To help make the payments on the 911, buy the exhaust, which was the first video that really did a lot of views that we did.
Yeah.
We still had to pay for the exhaust. We worked with Soul. Guy over there, really nice, but again, we didn't have enough views to where it would warrant them giving us a free exhaust, so he gave it to us at wholesale. I can say that probably,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, he hooked us up with a good deal on the exhaust.
We don't know what we can say.
Yeah, it's always a great area.
You're fine.
But yeah, he hooked us up with the exhaust, and that was the first video that did well. And it did really well because we made short form and long form. So it did like almost 10 million views combined on shorts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Auto Tempest got a good ROI on it. So then he sponsored more videos.
That is unreal.
Good for you.
But without that happening,
dude, this is it. Like so many kids think it's like I gotta make a resume, I gotta like put my tie on, I gotta like go meet somebody, I gotta like stand up straight and not slouch in my chair. It's like if you guys didn't,
it's a big pain point for him.
It's like hold on, let me address this. Where's the camera? I'm 5'6", bro. Whether I slouch or not, they gave me the smallest chair. It's like
They're doing you dirty over there.
I'm out of here. So,
Kick the camera.
But here's the thing. It's like seriously though, if you guys didn't even ask that question, and then they say, "There's a dinner tonight," and then you say, "Like you guys seem like you're very talkative. You like talking." It's like if you were antisocial, you wouldn't be here today.
We love
It's
talking
like if
to
you
people.
didn't want to go make a conversation.
It's
like,
also the funniest part.
And then you end up with Ed Bolian, who buys the shittiest good cars in the world.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you gotta buy the Porsche." They're like, "You gotta buy that car." It's like,
During
of
the
course.
dinner, we're like talking to them.
Yeah.
And Ed, the guy from Haggerty, like kind of taps Ed.
His name is Chris, and he's the best guy.
He's the best guy.
We love
All
Chris.
these guys. I mean, it's so lucky that we met. So this guy.
Not Chris Brewer, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
You know him?
Chris Brewer, yeah. Well, he's going to be running he's my role model. Like for
tell you
my
after.
job, he's a role model.
You can
Absolute
cut
man.
that.
He's a philosopher. Like he literally has a degree in philosophy. He's so smart. But anyways, shout out Chris.
He
He's
helped us
the
out a lot.
absolute man.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
But he tapped Ed on the shoulder and was like, "Thank you so much for inviting these guys." And then Ed just looked at me and Will and was like, Yeah.
Everyone was confused why we were there.
It's like we sort of just kind of like
that's awesome.
Snuck in, honestly. Like it sort of just worked
took
out.
the chance.
And Ed was willing at that point to just kind of vouch for us, which was very nice of him. He didn't like out us in that moment.
Right.
Everything is sort of like weirdly aligned through hard work. Like, of course, there's definitely luck involved. But me and Will we're more than willing to put ourselves out there. And we absolutely love talking to people. So
I will go talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So you did the exhaust, and then I think it was brilliant to wrap the car in Ruby Stone, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's like the Porsche Instagram color. So
it
you
pops
did that
right off.
You did that very well. How did that lead you to making it a safari car and then driving it across the country
That's just
to go to Monterey?
We straight up.
We were like, this sounds cool. Let's do that.
Seeing it in Monterey, I mean, it was, you see Paganis, Koenigsegg's, whatever. And then you see, boom, like it's
Pink
jacked
lift up
up.
996.
Another
Awesome.
crazy moment where we were and it worked out. It was I think in like it was Luftenine, that big Porsche show in San Fran. So we had thought about doing the 996 into a safari car. That was like one of the first ideas, because like that was when the Dakar was like sort of coming out. And everyone thought it was super cool, but we didn't know how to do it. So we reached out to Brock.
Because no one done a 996 really lifted. Like there's no
Brock,
kit.
who is the
996 road trip. He's a 996 guy. We DM'd him on Instagram, but again, we didn't have that many followers then, and like we hadn't done nothing really with the car yet. So he was just like, yeah, man, that's super cool, whatever. He was like, we'll talk about it at some point, but he probably didn't think we were being very serious about it. So then he was like, yeah, I'm working on something right now as well for a Dakar off-road 996 build, with the guys at Eurowise who was working on it. So then I randomly
That was
just
a lot of words in like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
that was a speed run right there.
I do that.
Is that announced? It must be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he has the account 996 off-road.
Okay, yeah, he's working on something.
So they're working on making a whole kit, but so he basically vaguely alerted to that, and then he didn't really get back to us because he was very busy at the time, which whatever. So then I was like, I want to go to Luft 9, and I didn't have much money at the time, so we weren't making much, but I was like, that would be super cool. So I literally just bought a plane ticket and flew out there and stayed with my friend. And at the show, I see Brock with his roof tent. So I'm like, whatever, I'll go talk to him. So I just go start annoying him. And we start to get talking, and he realized that I was being serious. So we start talking about what they're going to do with the 996. He's like, no, I'm actually building this kit, blah, blah, blah. We really start going at it. I grab his number. Then we get on a couple calls with him after the fact where like he's like, okay, now like these guys are serious. Like I want them to help me push this kit we're building. We end up getting in with the guys at Eurowise who built the lift kit for our car. And like all of that literally stemmed from me just deciding to go to that car show and going to talk to Brock in person. Because without that car would not have been possible to being built, because they're the only people that have done a lifted 996 that aren't trying to charge $1 trillion for the kit.
Wow.
And like not doing crazy $10,000 suspension stuff. So like,
it's crazy. Yeah, everybody in the car world, it feels like that we've met, like, which has been really reassuring, because like in business and finance stuff, it was so different. It was very cutthroat. Like everybody was just in it for themselves, and like I'm competitive, but then I realized like, oh, everybody's just trying to help one another, because like a rising tide lifts all ships. Like, and everybody's been nothing but helpful, even when we have honestly what feels to me like very little to offer them back.
Yeah.
Like there's very little trading value. Like Freddie and Ed have been so good to us. And so nice and helpful, when it feels like to me that like we can't really offer much in return, and like I'm eternally grateful to both of them. They're both genuinely
same with Brock,
such
too.
good people. Brock as well. The guys at Eurowise, like all those people have just been so helpful. And like,
you guys, by the way, if you are
easygoing.
seeing this and you want to lift your 996, not only can I say, is it the most fun car ever? There's so
stupidly fun.
There's one moment on our cross-country road trip that I will never forget for the rest of my life, because we literally drove down to North Carolina and built that car.
And
just drove straight to California.
It was a test of a kit that had never been.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Wow.
the car was like pink, but that was about it. So like we literally put the wheels and tires on, put the lift kit on, put the suspension on, got in it, and drove it straight across the country. So like we were like 2-3 days in, we were super scared that the car was going to break at that point. So we were not beating on it at all.
Like, I was like, we need to make it.
All. Our thing was like, if this car makes it to California without breaking, we're like, oh, this is the best. So then we get out to...
We have no idea how to get it home either.
We get out to New Mexico, right? And we're like, you know what? Like we were with a couple of our friends who have way more money than us. They don't care that much. And they were like, dude, let's go find an off-road trail and like just send the cars. And we were like, okay. So we're like,
oh, great. Yeah.
So we found this.
I have so much money to fix this car.
We found this like mountain road, and it was just this dirt road up a mountain. So we're like, let's just do it. So I'm in the car with Jackson. On the way up, he starts to like get on a little bit. We're going a little bit faster. We're like on this dirt road, just start sliding around, like getting some air and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared because I'm also the worst passenger ever.
Bro was freaking out. I was like, bro, slow down.
I'm like the worst passenger
I'm
ever.
cautious.
That's I'm the worst passenger ever.
Being in Steve's truck.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So then I get in the car to go on the way down. And immediately, I'm an idiot. I just start sending it.
Like 80 down the road. I mean, speaking of,
and we get to the bottom of the road, and I just look at him. We're just both like almost in tears, laughing so hard. We're like, that's the most fun I've ever had.
Oh, that's amazing.
You don't need an expensive car to have fun. That is like awesome. The most fun you can have, like in a car. I feel like
it
was just
genuinely
so
like
stupid.
I've driven cars on track. I've driven supercars as a photographer. Never had even a tenth as fun.
That's
as
awesome.
Just shredding this crappy old Porsche with a dumb lift kit that like shouldn't even work, but it somehow is. Because it was like.
Turns out it was actually a really good lift.
Yeah, they did a great job. And literally, like,
we were just nervous the whole time.
Yeah, we were like, I don't know if this will work. Yeah, again, we've now put that car through hell and back, and it's held up to it totally fine. But
now, whenever we're worried it's gonna break,
IMS on that?
No. Now when we're worried it's gonna break, I'm like, I don't care. If it breaks, we'll fix it. At this point, it's done more than I asked of it. Yeah. Like if it breaks, I'm never getting rid of that car. I love that car. If it breaks, we'll just The good news with YouTube, it has totally shifted my perspective on negative things. It's like when something bad happens, it's just content. Like,
that's true.
As long as no one gets hurt, that's what's most important. Cars are replaceable. Car gets damaged.
Yeah.
We just fix it on the YouTube channel. It's just more content. As long as no one gets injured, it's all fun.
So if someone gets injured, you get more views.
No, I don't want anyone to get injured. But it's always, it's really been like a interesting thing. I feel like more chill now than I used to be. I'm like not worried about bad things happening. And people always comment that I'm like smiling when something bad happens. Not because it's great content, but also because it's like, whatever. Like, I don't know. What are you going to do? We're just going to fix it. It's
part of the story.
Yeah. Usually I just get really mad for like 1 second that I just look at him and he's laughing and I'm like, oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah, you can't, like at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. When I was like younger, I would always get nervous about stuff. Like, and like I was always thinking like, well, what's the worst case scenario? I still think of the worst case scenario, but it's like, I can't control anything. Something breaks, it's broken. No. What can I do but fix it?
Like, yeah, that's true. So for 24, can you allude to any big plans? I know you guys bought the Aston Martin. You're going to build that.
Yeah. So with the Aston Martin is going to be for the next couple months, probably. It seems like every project lasts, depending on like what we're doing, it lasts like 3-4 months, something like that is about the build timeline on all the cars.
So it's a V8 Vantage or
V8 Vantage,
07 V8 Vantage Sport Shift.
Yeah.
So it's power.
Okay. Very sporty. Yeah.
Make a phone call in between shifts.
Yep. But the plan, I can allude to the fact we eventually want to do a crashed car. I'm hoping that does happen in 2024 because it's fun to try new things and like it's something we've never done before. We have some plans. We want more than one car happening at the same time. So we're working on 2 projects that we're like heavily considering doing next. It's always just a matter of like, how much money can we spend on the next project? Like
we're still in a money, like we still don't have unlimited money. There still is a money problem.
Like, of course.
It's just a different money problem.
Crappy cars all the time. But like, it's still like, okay, well that's all the money that we had is what we spent on those cars. So and usually we're taking high interest loans out on everything. So my financial advice
you said
was
to not
never
give you
good.
financial advice.
Don't listen to my financial advice.
I listened to all his financial advice too. That's why I know not to take it.
So is that your master plan for the channel is to build cars and to go to these events and do these things and be this personality and kind of move away from the new stuff?
Yeah, we want to move away from the new stuff. And it's just like, I just want to have fun with cars. Like I just want, like, that's the dream job, right? But like also what I've learned is there's so many people out there who I've been so lucky to grow up in a place that has a car culture that is like big. I get to be around, since I was young, I've gotten into the position to be around supercars and like hypercars. And there's a lot of people who don't, and like there's a lot of countries in which don't have those kind of cars laying around, right? Like Tuvalu, they don't got, I don't think they have any Paganis hanging out in Tuvalu.
He just dropped off.
Well, that's there, But like, we have a lot of viewers from around the world, and it's like I feel now a responsibility and a duty to like bring my audience with me to these places and experience them together. Cool. Like I would love, like, building the cars is what's most fun for me, and I think it's also like the viewers tend to like that the most, because it's just fun. It feels like we're hanging out with like the people who watch our videos. It just feels like a chill session of like hanging out in my garage working on a car. But we also want to go to more events and like ideally film some of those too, because I just want to like make sure everybody can enjoy all like facets of the car community and like car world.
That was like one of our initial goals too. Like the video we made at Audrain was like 2 idiots go to one of the nicest car shows in America, and the video didn't do well, but that's always been our philosophy, is like we feel so lucky to be a part of the car world and to be.
That was Amelia Island.
Or sorry, what did I say?
Our Audrain stuff did great, by the way.
Christ
sorry.
Do you want us to get killed?
I'll restart that.
No, I don't.
No, I got it.
Yeah, it's fine.
So our goal when we went down to the Amelia Island concourse was to be like 2 idiots at a really nice car show, and that video didn't perform very well. It was a long form video, like a YouTube video, but that's always been our philosophy. Was like I said, we're so lucky to be in the position we are in. Right now I'm sitting next to this F1 car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Filming a podcast. Like this doesn't even feel real.
I've been thinking about this while I'm talking.
I keep looking very closely at it because I want it. But for us, it's like we hate gatekeeping. So like as much of that we can share of how you can, and I have been going to Car Week for like 7 years in a row, not spending that much money. So like I feel like I know all the ins and outs of how to go to these car shows without spending that much, because like everyone always thinks that you have to be like some big baller to go to Monterey Car Week. But I was like, I know all the hotels and weird Airbnbs that'll be available that you can spend. I don't know, like $1,000 to be there for the whole week, which still is, it's not a small amount of money, but like
it's not $5,000.
Yeah, it's not 20,000. Yeah, there's 5,000. Most of the nice hotels there are $5,000 a night during Car Week. So like. And I mean, the car world is pretty accessible. People are usually pretty welcoming, especially people like you guys. Like, I mean, Motor Week this year felt amazing. Like, you can kind of like do everything. You can see all the cars. Because one of the biggest things with that Car Week that I had a problem before I could like go to the Quail, because we went to the Quail this year for the first time.
Yeah.
I could never afford to go to the Quail. The tickets are $2,000 a ticket. Thankfully, they gave us media passes. But like, I would miss so many cars that were only there.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Audrain, like, you can still see most of the cars. They're still accessible. You can go to the museum and check out all the cool stuff there. And I think that's, I love that what you guys are doing about that.
Thank you.
And I mean, for us, it's so accessible because we can just drive down.
Yeah.
But like, it's something that I would definitely travel out to.
Nice.
Like, just because it's so much more accessible. And I mean, it's a beautiful place as well.
Thank you.
But no problem. I mean, I love what you guys are doing, and we really want to help you guys with that, because again, Car Week for me was like, I would work all summer long, putting away like every single extra dollar that I made as a photographer. Every single year I would like make, I don't know, $2,000 over the summer extra, and I'd spend it all to go to Car Week, and I would have no money going into the school year again. That's what I did since I was 14.
Yeah,
but like
awesome.
I wouldn't change that for the world, but like now having something that's a little bit more accessible, that's closer by.
The more car events, the better in my mind. Yeah, right. Like I love it. And on top of the gatekeeping too, like I feel like for the stuff that we're making, if we ever get like I feel so lucky to be in the position. If it ever gets to my head, I hope people stop watching.
Oh yeah.
Like my goal is to never like let any of like, because we'll inevitably probably make more money and buy nicer cars and get more followers, but I don't want to care about any of that. Like I just want to make the content and have fun with the cars and share the cars with everybody. Like I'm gonna strive to never let any of that like get to me.
We love cars.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the whole thing. We're not doing it for like, again,
I like money to buy more cars.
Yeah, literally, that's all. I'd rather pay myself $2,000 a month for the rest of my life and just live paycheck to paycheck. But if the channel has 50 cars that I can go drive whenever, I'm happy.
Yeah,
again, money's great, but we do just love working with cars, messing around with cars, having fun.
And it shows. So. And you can see the channels that are in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Not only in cars, but watches. You know, that watch
all
guy
that
just failed. But yeah, that's really
You guys are going to need an intern. Like kind of serious. I mean, it's like you guys are going to get to that point where you're literally doing enough to pay someone
Crankshaft
to do the
Jr.
editing, and then you can have more free time
a
to do
fancy
it.
name, a little alliteration of a name, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, no, it is.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. Little Cranker.
That's gonna be Ben. That's your name.
Dude, I'm in.
Yeah, that's
Little Cranker.
Here for the interview for Little Cranker.
You're hired.
Jackson,
You like Porsches.
Jackson, Will, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
thank you
really
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Thank you
It's
guys.
been fun.
Sorry if I rambled a lot.
No,
do
this is
that.
great. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching the video. As always, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share. Check out their channel. Check out their TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Make sure you subscribe to the guys. It's great. Alrighty.
Sweet.
Little
Great
Cranker
talk,
out.
guys.